So, you want to own a medieval marketplace. Great choice. Every farmer needs somewhere to sell his grain, every butcher needs customers, every merchant needs floor space, and every traveler drags another purse through your gate. You take tolls on goods, rent out stalls, charge for storage, oversee the weights and measures, and skim a small cut from hundreds of deals you never had to make yourself. On paper, it's safer than farming, easier than manufacturing, steadier than gambling on ships that may never come home. Then the rain turns your square into a swamp. Traders start skipping your town. Rotten food wrecks your reputation. Your toll collectors quietly pocket a share. The market down the road steals your busiest day. And then the king asks a very awkward question. Did you ever have the right to hold this market at all? The square is packed with goods, and your account book is nearly empty. So what actually made a medieval market owner rich? The stalls? The merchants? Or the legal right to control where everyone traded? To find out, let's build a chartered weekly marketplace in medieval England and follow every single coin through the gate. Markets differed wildly by time and place, so picture a growing English town in the 13th or 14th century, farmland all around, a decent road running through it, but nowhere near big enough to guarantee success. And here's the first surprise. You don't start with stalls, you start with permission. People can swap goods almost anywhere. They can haggle beside a church, at a crossroads, outside an inn, near a bridge, or straight off the farm. But a formal market is a different animal. It claims a recognized day, a recognized place, and a recognized authority. In much of England, the right to hold a market came from a royal grant, or from an old custom people simply accepted as legitimate. And that right matters, because a market isn't profitable just because trading happens. It becomes profitable the moment you can funnel trade into a space where payments can be collected and rules can be enforced. So picture it. You've been granted the right to hold a market every Wednesday. Sounds like a monopoly, doesn't it? It isn't. A neighboring lord may already run a Monday market. Another town trades on Friday. An annual fair pulls the best merchants away for weeks at a time. Informal sellers loiter just outside your boundary to dodge the toll. Your charter hands you a date. It does not hand you customers. Now, pick your spot. The best marketplace sits where movement is already happening. Near a bridge, a town gate, a river crossing, a church, a castle road, the junction between two farming districts. A beautiful square in the wrong place is worth almost nothing. A muddy patch beside the right bridge can make you a fortune, simply because people are already walking through it. But location brings its own headaches. Travelers need access. Carts need room to turn. Animals must be kept away from the food stalls. Heavy goods need firm ground underfoot. Merchants need shelter. Customers need to move without being crushed between wagons, tables, and livestock. Suddenly your marketplace looks less like an empty square and more like a small piece of urban infrastructure. You need usable roads, drainage, a clear toll boundary, posts, rails, tables, booths, maybe even a covered hall for the valuable goods, and storage for merchants who can't shift everything in a single day. Not one of these things earns you a penny while it's being built. Timber and stone have to be hauled in. Carpenters, laborers, roofers, and smiths all want paying. Repairs start almost right away, because wheels chew up the ground, rain rots timber, animals snap rails, and crowds grind down every surface underfoot. The first business model looks simple enough. Take a small toll from anyone bringing goods into the market. The word toll sounds clean and easy. The math isn't. Do you charge by cart, by animal, by sack, by table, by type of product, or by what the goods are worth? Do locals pay the same as strangers? Are certain merchants exempt because of some ancient privilege? Is payment made in coin, in produce, or in a cut of the goods themselves? Every exemption chips away at revenue. Every complicated rule opens a door to argument, concealment, or outright fraud. A grain seller swears those 6 sacks all belong to one household. A livestock trader slips in by a side road before sunrise. A merchant insists his town holds a charter freeing him from your toll. A collector writes down 10 payments and quietly pockets the 12th. The square can be packed shoulder to shoulder while the owner bleeds money, one unnoticed transaction at a time. Then comes stallage, payment for the right to occupy selling space. And a good spot is worth far more than an ordinary one. The stall near the main entrance catches more traffic. The table beside the covered hall stays drier. The butcher wants water close by. The cloth merchant wants shelter from rain and dirt. The baker wants to stand exactly where hungry travelers come through the gate. Charge every seller the same, and the best spaces quietly become private favors. Charge different rents, and merchants howl about unfair treatment. Auction off the prime positions, and wealthy traders take over the square, squeezing out the small sellers who gave the place its variety in the first place. A marketplace needs enough rent to pay for itself, but not so much that merchants pack up and go to the next town over. That's the tension at the heart of the whole business. You're not selling tables, you're selling access to customers. The more merchants you pull in, the more customers show up. The more customers arrive, the more valuable every stall becomes. But squeeze too hard, too early, and you strangle the very crowd that made the market worth anything. Now add permanent shops around the square. A weekly stall earns you money on one day. A shop, a warehouse, a bakehouse, a tavern, a covered booth, those pay rent all year round. Permanent businesses also make the marketplace feel safer, steadier, more trustworthy. A merchant knows where to find storage. A customer knows where to come back with a complaint. A traveler can eat, sleep, and be trading again by morning. That changes where your money should go. The square itself may not be your most profitable asset at all. The buildings facing it may bring in far steadier rent than the temporary seller standing in the middle. The merchant carries the risk of buying goods. The shopkeeper carries the risk of weak demand. The property owner simply collects rent, for as long as the location stays useful. Now hire the people who actually keep the market running. You need a market supervisor, toll collectors, a clerk, a keeper of the official weights and measures, watchmen, cleaners, porters, and repair crews. The market owner doesn't personally inspect every loaf, measure every sack, settle every quarrel, and chase down every missing coin. It's the same trap every big historical business falls into. The owner depends on his agents, and the agents control the information. The toll collector knows how many carts rolled through the gate. The clerk knows which merchants still haven't paid. The weighmaster knows if a measure came up short. The porter knows which warehouse quietly took in goods after dark. So when the records don't match, the owner is left guessing. Was it confusion, incompetence, or plain theft? More supervision cuts the losses, sure. It also adds more salaries to pay. And now think about the single most valuable thing a marketplace actually sells. Trust. A customer can't inspect everything. Grain can be damp under the top layer. Cloth can be shorter than promised. A loaf can be light. Meat can be older than it looks. A barrel can hold less than the seller swears it does. Without shared standards, every single deal turns into an argument. Official weights and measures take that uncertainty away. An inspector can hold a merchant's scale, container, or measure up against an accepted standard and see the truth. Rules about quality, hygiene, and how you're allowed to sell can make a formal market far more appealing than trading off the side of a road. This isn't government being noble, it's commercial infrastructure. A market known for crooked measures bleeds customers. A market known for predictable rules pulls in traders who want buyers to believe them. But regulation isn't free. Inspectors want wages, standards need storing and maintaining, rules have to be announced and enforced. Fines bring in revenue, yes, but push enforcement too hard, and merchants start to feel the market exists purely to catch them out. Now picture a baker accused of selling underweight bread. Ignore the complaint, and customers lose faith. Hit him with an unpredictable fine, and bakers pack up and go. Let an official pocket a quiet, private payment, and both the market and its owner lose all credibility. The point was never to punish as many people as possible. The point is to make honest trade easier than dishonest trade. Sounds simple. It isn't. And then there's price, a whole new fight. In an ordinary harvest, grain pours in and prices stay bearable. In a bad harvest, less grain reaches the square and every buyer gets nervous. Sellers want more because supply is thin. Customers call it exploitation. Officials start worrying about riots and empty shelves. The market owner needs traders to keep showing up, but he also needs the townspeople to believe the place is fair, hold prices too low, and sellers take their goods somewhere else. Let them climb unchecked, and the poorest buyers are shut out completely. The marketplace sits right on that line between profit and public expectation. It isn't just where prices appear, it's where the whole town argues about what a fair price even means. Now follow a farmer walking up to the gate. He spent months on that grain, those vegetables, eggs, wool, livestock. And before he sells a single thing, he's already facing transport costs, lost working days, damage on the road, a market toll, a stall payment, and maybe storage or weighing charges on top. If business drags, he hauls everything home again, or drops his price before the goods rot on the table. And all the while, the farmer watches the market owner rake in coins without ever planting a seed. Now switch places, follow a merchant. He may have bought his stock on credit. He pays for transport, for guards, for animals, for a bed, for storage, for tolls, for the patch of ground he sells on. And he's gambling. Fashion shifts, weather stalls his journey, or a rival rolls in with the exact same crates. He wants a packed market, sure, but he isn't keen on bankrolling the market owner's entire estate. Now switch again. Follow the customer. The customer wants choice, honest weights, food that won't kill her, fair prices, and someone to stop her being cheated. She doesn't care what the roof cost or how many toll collectors need paying. If the market feels expensive or crooked, she simply walks to the next town. The market owner only earns when all three groups agree the trip was worth it. That's exactly why competition between market days matters so much. Say your market runs on Wednesday. The neighboring town trades on Tuesday. A merchant can't do both, not when roads are slow and stalls need setting up before dawn. Traders pick the market, with better customers, lower fees, safer roads, fairer rules, and storage that actually works. Choose the wrong day of the week, and your revenue is dead before the first stall opens. Annual fairs are a different beast entirely. A weekly market handles local exchange. An annual fair pulls merchants from far away, brings specialist goods, and creates a sudden flood of tolls, lodging, storage, food sales, and property rents. For a few days, a town can earn more than in many ordinary weeks put together. But the fair blows up every cost too. More visitors mean more security, more cleaning, temporary stalls, space for animals, beds, inspections, and someone to settle the arguments. Prices climb, roads jam, unsold goods pile up needing storage, and one storm can wreck the most profitable week of the year. A fair squeezes all your revenue and all your risk into the same short window. Now look at the hidden business sitting right beside the market. Credit. Coins are handy, but not every deal gets settled on the spot. Merchants buy on a promise. Shopkeepers owe suppliers. Tenants pay after harvest. Trusted customers walk away with goods and pay later. Records, witnesses, seals, and plain reputation stretch trade far beyond the coins physically sitting in that square. Credit grows business. It also creates debts nobody ever collects. The market owner can skim profit from storage, brokerage, property rent, or the legal services tangled up in these deals. But when several merchants collapse at the same time, those unpaid promises ripple through the whole town. A market can be stuffed with goods and starved of cash, and the seasons make it worse. After harvest, grain, animals, wool, and produce flood the square. Fees climb because trade is heavy. Then winter comes, or the roads turn to mud, and activity dies while roofs, staff, storage buildings, and drainage still demand money. Income arrives in bursts. Maintenance never does. Now let's split medieval marketplaces into four broad economic models. First, the small rural weekly market. Modest construction, low fees, most traders coming in from villages nearby. It can keep a local lord or a small town afloat, but one rival market or one bad harvest and the whole thing goes quiet fast. The second is the town marketplace proper, the established one. permanent shops, covered halls, warehouses, officials on the payroll, and a much bigger crowd walking through. The money comes from more directions, sure, but running the place and keeping it standing eats into it fast. The third is the Great Annual Fair, a burst of concentrated income, distant merchants, lodging, storage, tolls, specialized trade all at once, but it hangs on timing, on roads, on protection, and above all on confidence. The fourth is the one people forget, the least market right. The legal owner hands someone else the job of collecting tolls and running the market in exchange for a fixed payment every year. Whatever the operator makes above that number, he keeps. Whatever he falls short by, he eats. Ownership on one side, management on the other. The lord gets income he can count on. The lessee carries the commercial risk. Good year? He walks away with a fat surplus. Bad year? That fixed payment is still due. No excuses. The man standing at the gate taking coins looks like the powerful one, but the man holding the right on parchment is the safer one. Now let's open the books. In a good year, the harvest comes in strong, the roads stay passable, merchants roll in with grain, cloth, livestock, tools, pottery, food. Customers trust the official measures. Every prime stall is rented, the permanent shops pay on time, the warehouses never sit still, and the annual fair pulls visitors from well beyond the region. The market owner isn't waiting on one big customer, he's collecting 100 small payments. That's the whole appeal of the model. One farmer can fail and the market shrugs. One merchant can walk out while 10 others stay put. Revenue comes from traffic, from space, from services, from rights, spread across a crowd. And success feeds itself. More sellers pull in more buyers. More buyers justify better buildings. Better buildings attract wealthier merchants. Wealthier merchants push rents higher. Now open the books in a bad year. Heavy rain chews up the road and turns the square into a swamp. A poor harvest means less grain, fewer livestock, thinner stalls. Traders drift off to the neighboring town where the fees are lower. The covered hall needs a new roof. Complaints about bad food start staining the market's name. Your collectors quietly pocket what they should be handing over. Several shops fall behind on rent. And then the annual fair, the one big payday, gets flattened by weather. The owner still pays the officials, the watchmen, the repairs, the royal or local dues. The square is there, the charter is there, the stalls are there, the crowd isn't. And a market without traffic is just very expensive, empty ground. So, could owning a medieval marketplace make you rich? Yes, but not because you personally bought and sold the most goods. The merchants took the price risk. The farmers took the harvest risk. The craftspeople took the production risk. The carriers took the transport risk. The shopkeepers gambled that customers would show up at all. The market owner tried to earn a slice from every one of them by controlling access, space, standards, and legal authority. The strongest position belonged to whoever held a genuinely useful location and kept fees low enough to keep trade alive, while collecting them steadily enough to keep the market funded. The weakest owner was the one who looked at every visitor as something to squeeze. High tolls can swell your revenue today and kill your traffic tomorrow. Bad rules could save you money today and torch your reputation tomorrow. Skip the road repairs, patch nothing, let the roofs sag. And yes, the cash stays in your pocket this year, while the rents quietly shrink for the next 10. Because the marketplace was only worth something as long as everybody else believed it was worth showing up to. And that's the final contradiction, isn't it? The owner controlled the square, but the crowd controlled what the square was worth. A medieval marketplace was never just a row of stalls. It was a chartered right, a property business, a transport hub, a storage network, a court of commercial trust, a system of weights and measures, and above all, a machine for skimming tiny payments off the movement of an entire region. The farmers grew the food, the merchants hauled the goods, the craftspeople made the products, the customers brought the coins. But whoever controlled the place where all of them met could take a cut from almost every single one.